Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, whatever time of the day that you find yourself listening to this message or viewing this video. Greetings to you, grace and peace be with you. My name is Jerrie'Me Wright. I am actually sitting in my room, and today is May the 5th, 2020. Numerically, it's 5/5/2020, and I wanted to say numerically because today is the fifth day of the fifth month, and five is the number of grace. And I just want to say thank God for God's grace, not only for this day, but throughout this month. I'm thanking God for God's grace throughout this whole month, but I could not let the day go by without actually just doing a quick reflection upon the 10 years of ministry for myself. And today actually make 10 years and 10 days of ministry. So I did not want to let today go by without actually paying homage and giving thanks and recognizing those who actually help to bring about maturation in ministry, and who still bringing about maturation in ministry. Because a common mistake is that when you become a minister, when you become a pastor, any kind of leadership title, that you have it all together, and that could be the furthest thing from the truth, because you still have to mature in the things of God. And oftentimes when people see you and they know you to be this or that, they treat you as though you are God, in which you're not God. That's why I never look at a man or woman of God as though they have never sinned. I allow that man, that woman of God to have growth, room for growth, room for error, because whenever they do sin, I did not hold them too high where I saw them as a God, and I have not made them as an idol. So every leader, especially being able to see it from both angles, being able to see it from the pew and being able to see it from the pulpit, you have to allow the men and women of God who are in leadership to grow. And not everyone in leadership have fully matured yet. You have pastors who have yet to fully mature. You have apostles and prophets who have fully matured yet in the things of God. You have pastors and evangelists, teachers who have fully matured in the things of God. So we cannot sit and think that the body, although the body is something that is to be loved and that we love, we do not look at the body as to be perfect, is all I'm saying. So throughout the 10 years of ministry, and today marks 10 days, 10 years and 10 days of ministry, I was reflecting over the past week or so, and I was just thinking about the late Dr. Jerrie'Me, who was my initial pastor in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Interdenominational Theological Center. He was my professor of Baptist history, in which he invited his students to come to his church, to visit his church, in which I took him up on the offer and I visited his church. And upon visiting his church on November the 1st of 2009, I joined Liberty Baptist Church in Atlanta, Georgia. And I began to serve. I began to serve from November 1st all the way up until April the 25th of 2010, when he allowed me to speak my initial sermon. Therefore, throughout those months, I began to serve faithfully in one ministry in particular, and that ministry was entitled Love in Action. Love in Action. I love that ministry. I love the title of that ministry because that ministry speaks volumes of what it does for the community, and what it says about the church, and the type of people that they are and the type of people they were. Um, Love in Action is actually a ministry where you have those in the church who get together every Saturday. They cook a hot breakfast and invite those who are homeless into the church to eat a hot meal, and not only eat a hot meal, but to receive a word from God. And this was every Saturday. So from the time I joined, November the 1st of 2009, I continued to stay faithful in serving in that ministry, because that was a ministry that actually grabbed my heart, like immediately. To coming from the country, you rarely see homeless people, but moving to a big city like Atlanta, Georgia, you got homelessness out the wazoo. So there was a whole lot of homeless people, and you had some people with kids who were homeless. So it really touched my heart, where we have people who complain about what they don't have to wear, what they don't have to eat, and all of these things. When you got people who don't even have a roof over their head when it's raining, and it's cold outside, or lights. So that ministry actually helped me begin my ministry in serving. Love in Action was a ministry that actually helped me to grow in serving. Upon graduating from the ITC and moving to South Carolina, I joined Bethlehem Missionary Baptist Church under the leadership of Pastor Marion O. Bennett. Pastor Marion O. Bennett was actually the one who actually officially licensed me as a minister. To go back real quick, Pastor Pell in Atlanta was battling with bone cancer. And in his battle with bone cancer, I failed to mention that he did take the time out of his day. I had to get in chemo, and getting chemo to take me to the sickle cell physician at Grady. Make sure I made my appointments and made sure I had something to eat. This is the type of person that I'm talking about. Nevertheless, Pastor Marion Bennett was the pastor that actually took over and was the one that actually officiated over my licensing March 22nd of 2015. Nevertheless, in joining Bethlehem Missionary Baptist Church, which I am wearing the shirt today, is actually a youth shirt, and to get up closer, it says SWAG. SWAG. The SWAG ministry was a youth, young adult ministry for those that attended Bethlehem, and I found myself thrown into the youth ministry at Bethlehem. So I kind of went from learning about homeless ministry to learning more so about youth ministry and serving with those who are younger, and which I actually fell in love with, because I love kids. I love those who are younger than me. I love those um, even those adolescents, those who have all the questions like why this and why that, because those are the ones that we actually can learn a whole lot from. And indeed, those are the ones that are pure in heart. Those are the ones that are pure in heart. But the SWAG ministry, it actually stands for Save with Amazing Grace. Save with Amazing Grace. And I'm so glad today is May 5th, or numerically 5-5, because 5 is the number of grace. And I'm so glad today on May the 5th that I'm saved with amazing grace. And I'm so glad that you too are saved with amazing grace, and that if you're not saved with amazing grace, that you have the opportunity to be saved with amazing grace, and that no man or no woman can tell you that you cannot be saved with God's grace. It's God's grace. God's grace is God's unmerited favor. There's nothing that you can do. It's nothing that you can do to earn it. I mean, it's a gift. It's given to you freely, and everyone can have that grace that we desire. And in ministry, in swag ministry, that's something I fell in love with the shirt. I bought a whole lot of them. I think I have about 7 or 8 of them, different colors, because I like the whole swag thing. it was hip, but then it had the meaning with "Saved with Amazing Grace." So I bought into the message that it signed off, and oftentimes when you walk out, everyone pays attention to the shirt and they like the shirt and the message of the shirt. Nevertheless, Bethlehem Missionary Baptist Church was actually a foundational part of my maturation, in which I'm not saying that I had everything together when I was there. Nevertheless, it was a foundational part, and so that um, my pastor continued to show me God's love, and continue to exhort and encourage me, and continue to show me what it meant to be a pastor, what it meant to be a shepherd of a flock. And too often that right there is not seen within the body. Too often that's not seen within the body, because the Apostle Paul actually tells those, older men are to teach the younger men, older women are to teach the younger women. And whenever we have older men failing to teach the younger men, then we're missing that generation. We're missing something. Whenever we have younger women not being taught by older women, we're missing something. We're missing something. And we can tell now in the times in which it has changed so much, um, from the older teaching the younger, and we're coming far and far away from that doctrine, where we're missing valuable lessons, life lessons that can actually save years off of people's stories and people deliverance process, all because sometimes we have pastors who may be afraid, or timid, or ashamed, whatever the case may be. I can't even think of what it may be, but Pastor Bennett has been someone who has actually been a catalyst in moving me forward in ministry and encouraging ministry for myself. Not to say that Jerrie'me has always gotten everything right or done everything right, and actually Jerrie'me is still learning things in ministry. In 10 years and 10 days, I'm still learning. In fact, I saw Pastor Bennett the other day, Saturday to be specific, to get the communion, and he made a joke. He said, "You moving on Jerrie'me right time," in which he meant I was moving slow. I was moving slow because a lot of times I can be late, but nevertheless, I said, "Yeah, Pastor," but I'm still trying to move. I'm still trying to move, yet and still. So we got a good laugh out of that. But that man of God has definitely been instrumental in the ministry, as I reflected over the past week and some days. And last but not least, my current Pastor Andrew Thomas at Mount Pilgrim Baptist Church, has definitely been another instrumental piece in the maturation of myself. Pastor Thomas has definitely been someone in a short period of time where I have sat under and soaked up so much of his knowledge, so much of his knowledge and so much of his wisdom in a short period of time. In fact, December 2017 was the year that I joined Mount Pilgrim Baptist Church. And in joining Mount Pilgrim Baptist Church, I immediately began to serve. I immediately began to serve in the youth ministry there. Now, the youth ministry there was a little different from Bethlehem. Nevertheless, it was youth ministry, but it was youth ministry with the benefit of teaching not just the Bible, but tutoring. but tutoring. I believe when I joined Mount Pilgrim Baptist Church, December 17, 2017, that next Tuesday, or that Tuesday, 2 days later, I threw myself into the tutoring room with my first lady, Rebecca Thomas, who takes the time to tutor the kids, and work along with her and her son, Andrew Thomas, um, as as a servant. And I'm saying these things because as I reflect over 10 years of ministry in 10 days today, it has not been easy by any means. I have learned that in ministry you definitely have to have a tough skin, and I believe my skin has gotten much tougher over the past 3 years than it has ever been in my whole life. And you can expect people, some people will say that they're for you, but unfortunately everyone is not for you. Unfortunately, in ministry not everyone wants to see you succeed. Unfortunately, in ministry not everyone wants to see you do well, but there are people who are actually waiting in anticipation for you to fall. There are people who are actually waiting to take your place in ministry. And these are things that you just see in ministry, the things that I've seen in ministry over a short period of time. And I'm not even in a office yet. And I am just telling the Lord, Lord, I am so glad that I just desire to be a servant. I just desire to be a servant. I just want to serve. I just want to serve. I just want to serve. And the Bible lets us know in the book of Acts that David served his generation and went to sleep. And I too, like David, I want to serve my generation and go to sleep. And if anybody can say anything about me, they can say that he was a true servant of God, and he didn't serve for applause, accolades, money, or a pat on the back, but he served from the heart. That is my goal, my desire. And a minister is a servant. It equates to a deacon in the Greek. It is servant.